Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. We're in the days of the month of Dhul Hijjah, and we receive a lot of questions about the details pertaining to the udhiyah, the qurbani, the sacrifice that is offered at the occasion of Eid al-Adha. Many people have questions pertaining to that. So we thought that it would be beneficial to provide a short instructional video that addresses the major items pertaining to the sacrifice of Eid al-Adha. First and foremost, what is the ruling of the sacrifice that is made at Eid al-Adha? So there is some difference of opinion amongst the scholars. And in many of these issues, there is some discussion and debate amongst the schools of thought, the madhahib, the scholars, the fuqaha. I will go ahead and state where there is some difference of opinion. At the same time, because we are providing these answers to the community, I will make certain recommendations. Of course, anybody watching this video, listening to this, is more than welcome to follow up with their local scholars, their local imams, to get a better understanding of what they should do, they'd like to do. But I will go ahead and state that there is a difference of opinion. And secondly, I will go ahead and make a recommendation there. So first and foremost, what is the status of the sacrifice of Eid al-Adha? Is it mandatory? Is it required? Is it recommended? So there's a difference of opinion. Some of the scholars, like the Hanafi scholars, the Ahnaf, they are of the opinion that it is actually something that is mandatory. The majority of the scholars are of the opinion that it's a very strongly emphasized sunnah practice of the Prophet ﷺ, where they do state that if somebody's capable of making that sacrifice and they deliberately choose not to do so, that they could be doing something that is what we call makruh or blameworthy within the deen. So there is an emphasis on doing it. My personal recommendation would be, once again, to do it. Now, who should be doing the sacrifice? Who should be offering a sacrifice? So there's a little bit of a discussion difference of opinion here. The Ahnaf, the Hanafi school, says that anyone who is capable of paying zakat on an annual basis should be offering a sacrifice. The majority of the scholars are of the opinion anyone who has enough money to offer a sacrifice. So I will just use a certain number as an example. Let's say that sacrificing a goat costs $250. So the majority of the scholars say if you have an extra $250 outside of what you need to feed yourself and your dependents, then you should go ahead and make the sacrifice and pay for that sacrifice. All right. Once again, my recommendation would be that if you have that amount of money extra beyond your needs, that it is good to make that sacrifice, because that's what these days are for, is for making that sacrifice for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and, providing assistance and helping those who might be in need of some assistance. Thirdly, the third question is one sacrifice enough for a whole household, or does each person need to have a sacrifice on their behalf? Once again, there's some agreement here and some disagreement. The sacrifice only needs to be done by or on behalf of an adult. The majority of the scholars are of the opinion you can do it on behalf of a minor, but that is purely optional. It is not required or emphasized for the minor, but rather this is only for adults who have some kind of financial ability. All their needs are met, and they have that extra money where they can offer a sacrifice. However, the next issue is that if there are, husband and wife, and then there are two kids in one household, does the husband, and because of the wife as well, do there need to be two sacrifices offered, one on behalf of the husband and one on behalf of the wife? Or will one sacrifice suffice for all of them, because at the end of the day, they are one household, Ahl Baytin? So once again, there's a difference of opinion here. Some of the scholars, like the Hanafi scholars and the Maliki scholars, are of the opinion that it should be on behalf of each adult individually. So the example of the family that I gave you with the husband, the wife, and the two kids, two sacrifices will be made. Some of the scholars, like the Shafi'i and Hanbali scholars, are of the opinion that one sacrifice can be done on behalf of all of them because they are one family, one household. Once again, these are valid opinions. My personal recommendation would be to do it on behalf of each of the adults. Now, what is a sacrifice? That's the next question. So, a sacrifice in Islam is either a goat, a sheep, a ram, an animal of that sort, or a cow, a camel, an ox, buffalo, etc. Those larger animals have 7 shares within them. So if I have to offer a sacrifice, that can be done by me sacrificing one goat or pitching into or purchasing 1/7 of a cow. One goat or 1/7 of a cow. That is what is defined as a sacrifice. The next question is, do I need to do the sacrifice myself, or can I donate can I give the money to an organization that is going to be sacrificing on my behalf and feeding the poor and the needy? Then in this case, in this instance, while it is recommended to do it yourself, it is completely permissible, totally acceptable for you to pay someone else, like a charitable or humanitarian organization that is going to do the sacrifice and use that to feed the poor and those that are in need of assistance. Lastly and finally, if I do a sacrifice on my behalf, myself, if I do my own sacrifice myself, am I allowed to bring some of that meat home, or does all of it need to be donated? Or do I need to bring all of it home? Do I have to donate it? Can I donate it? So when it comes to this, it's very open to whatever works for you. The scholars do recommend give something in donation, but at the end of the day, the Prophet ﷺ would eat some of his own sacrifice, would share it with some family and friends, and would also feed those who are in need of it. The scholars, that's where they typically recommend, also inspired from the verse of the Quran, فَكُلُوا مِنْهَا وَأَطْعِمُوا الْقَانِعَ وَالْمُعْتَرَ, that the Quran also alludes to this kind of a practice that they typically say, keep a third of your meat, gift a third, share a third with family and friends and neighbors, and then a third of it donated. But at the end of the day, if you're doing it through a charitable or humanitarian organization, 100% of the meat is going to go in charity. That is completely acceptable. If you end up doing it yourself and you bring most of the meat home, that is permissible and allowed as well. I would once again here recommend try to give at least some of it in charity and in feeding the fuqara, the masakeen, those that are in need. Wallahu ta'ala a'lam bis-sawab. These are some of the basic details in regards to sacrifice. I hope and pray that this is helpful and it assists you in deciding what to do. One other thing is that the sacrifice should be offered on either the day of Eid or the 2 days following it. Imam Shafi'i allows for even a 4th day of sacrifice, but it's better to get it done during the first 3 days. So that's one detail to keep in mind. Lastly and finally, the Prophet ﷺ was asked, "Ma hadhihi al-adahi ya Rasulullah?" Where does this practice of sacrifice come from? He said, "Sunnatu abikum Ibrahim." This is the tradition of your spiritual forefather Ibrahim alayhi salam, and this is something that is rewarded by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You are rewarded on behalf of this, and it's a tradition and a practice of Ibrahim alayhi salam and our own messenger Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam. I hope and pray, inshallah, everyone has a very blessed first 10 days of the month of Dhul Hijjah. Everyone has a very happy and blessed Eid, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect you and your family, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept all of our prayers, all of our worship, and all of our sacrifice. Ameen ya Rabbil Alameen. Jazakumullahu khairan. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Introducing the top-rated Islamic app in the world, One Islam TV. The app offers a smooth, immersive viewing experience with user-friendly features and seamless interface. Discover the power of technology for the purpose of spreading the light of Islam to every corner of the world. Download the One Islam TV app now.